AI is one of the main technological challenges facing news organisations today. I decided to explore how international news organisations are responding to these challenges. To do this, I spoke to Lilia Sebouai, a features assistant for the Telegraph, who reports on the global health desk, and recently the Israel-Palestine conflict. I first asked how AI had affected her personally.
I've actually never used AI, and I don't use it at all, and I definitely wouldn't use it for work. I know a lot of people use it for uni assignments, but I just think it's kind of, I would never use it for work, and I haven't.
I don't use it either, to be honest.
No, I don't even get it.
No, it's not. It takes the creativity out of things, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like I would be so scared if I used it, and I think it's like it's a bit like not immoral, but kind of.
Well, there's definitely ethical lines that it's blurring, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
So, what benefits has the Telegraph had from AI?
We got an email from HR and they said that we're not allowed to use AI services without specific clearance. So I think on like ethical grounds, we don't use AI, but it says in certain circumstances, but I'm not aware of it being used anywhere. And like, I obviously want to protect my colleagues and fellow journalists' jobs, so I wouldn't advocate for it to be used either.
So there's been like no real use of it in terms of researching?
I don't think so. I was asking my colleagues before, and I definitely don't think so, no. But I was just talking to my colleague, and she does the live blog on the foreign desk, so they have to do a new post every 10 minutes. Yeah. And it's like really exhausting because it's really long hour shifts. And she was like, to be fair, if AI can help with that, please, we welcome it.
Yeah, because I've seen that some people are thinking that in terms of AI could be used really well to help research. So you're like, as a journalist, you can focus more on telling the story rather than getting bogged down with hours of research.
I know, but like when I started here, like my job for over a year was a lot of it was researching for people. So then if they get rid of that, then how are junior journalists even going to get their foot in the door? Because where do you start? Like, it will be so much harder to get inside if you can't offer anything, if they're just going to get AI to do it for them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Actually, hope they don't. And also, I think you can be more thorough because like you can be looking at it like as a human. Like if I was researching someone, you'd be doing it across platforms. Like you might go on Twitter and Instagram. You might remember seeing like a post on like a news Instagram story or something that AI isn't capable of getting, or you might remember reading a magazine article that AI wouldn't know was there. You know, it can't source through everything. So it probably just would be doing shallower research as well.
Yeah, there's definitely I've been reading a little bit about it, and it's been saying how the AI is only as good as what you put in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll just get lazy, and it will just be lazy journalism, and I just don't understand what that achieves.
What would you consider like the main issues that you've experienced from AI? Personally.
I think the main issues, I guess, would be just getting rid of people's jobs, especially for junior journalists, because so much of it is putting in the hard work and doing long shifts. And I understand that AI is supposed to like speed that up and get rid of that process, but that just gets rid of so many jobs, and I just don't understand how you'd even get on the job ladder if it's just like wiping out so many jobs, and I think that's the scariest bit.
Yeah. Do you know any examples of that?
Of it getting rid of jobs?
Yeah.
Well, I think MSN are already using it for breaking news, and loads of journalists are breaking news reporters. So that's an example. And I don't know any solid examples, but I've seen like jobs being advertised on LinkedIn for AI assisted reporter, but I don't really know what that entails. But I just think it's getting rid of jobs basically, and it will get more as like the years go on, people will become more confident with it, and it just will get bigger.
Yeah. Is there any paper-wide issues that the Telegraph has experienced, maybe as a collective group, that you've had to overcome?
I don't think there's been like I think it would be like a bit of a scandal if there was an AI like issue, and I feel like you could like lose your job over something like that. But I was saying before about that article in the Irish Times that was published, and someone pitched it using AI. 80% was written with AI, and then it went on their website, and it was the second most read article, which is really concerning. So I think that's why the Telegraph have released guidelines on how to use it, because of risks of that. And also you can use AI for photos as well. Like we have entire graphic photo teams, and it would like erase their jobs as well. So it is quite scary, to be honest.
Do you think any kind of regulation can help minimise the negative effects of AI and the challenges that news organisations are facing?
I guess just like flagging when it's used, like not being deceitful, kind of. Like if it's an AI-assisted article, it should say in the byline, or like they should make a company-wide announcement that their breaking news is used by AI, and it's all being regulated by editors. Just so then you can, because obviously fake news and everything, and unregulated news is such a massive issue at the moment. So I think it just needs to be really honest and upfront and flag post it.
Yeah, so it'd be an editorial issue.
Yeah, editorial issue, and like the readers should be aware of what they're reading.
I then sat down with Laurence Murphy, a senior researcher and lecturer in media technology at the University of Salford. Lawrence's research area is AI and its integration into modern systems. I asked him how international news organisations, like the Telegraph, could maintain the trust with their readers with the growing use of AI.
One of the things we've got to get clear to everybody about AI is that there are really good uses of AI, and there are uses of AI that are shortcuts to getting things done quicker, getting things done more, in inverted commas, efficiently. And one of the big problems with that is when we start talking about taking a project, whether it's a story, if you're a journalist, whether it's a piece of artwork, if you're an artist, whether it's a design and you're an engineer. What role then does the AI have in bringing that project forward, in improving that project? Now, it all depends on how you then use it and what level that the AI will actually incorporate into that project. Because you can just set it up and let it do its thing, and it generative AI will learn from the data you're giving it, then it will create a version of what you think you need. Whether that's accurate, verifiable, useful is very debatable, and it depends on how we perceive what AI is doing for us. Now, editors are a good example, okay? Editors for newspapers, they can't bury their heads in the sand and say AI is evil, because they're now looking after websites, they're now looking after online material. Now, those kind of platforms rely on AI-generated engines. You feed the stories of the day in, and then it formats them. It means you don't have to have, that editor doesn't have to have 4 journalists wasting their time through the day rehashing the same story. You can let the AI engine do that work for you.
Then asked Laurence about one of Lilia's main concerns. How could young journalists break into international news organisations when AI can do research jobs?
It actually doesn't matter which area of AI you look at, which sector you look at. If AI is going to be used in that sector, yes, we are going to have a re-evaluation of what jobs are appropriate for humans and what jobs are appropriate for AI tools to be used. And yes, there may be a certain amount of re-evaluation of especially entry-level positions, things like first-line journalists, first-line researchers for productions. But it's not the case that it will just hoover up the jobs and everybody's going to be out of work. The whole idea of using AI in a constructive way is to free up those journalists to get into, in a more accelerated way, the more meaty part of journalism that, you know, everybody had to serve your time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was what the process that she went through.
Yeah. Well, that's the rub. Should we keep that serving your time manual layer because it's good for people, fiber's good for you, or should we replace that layer with AI assisted preparation and then bring those journalists into them where we really need them, where we get more detail, where we get more elaborate use of the human aspect of journalism. You look at a normal journalistic press room, look at a normal production room within a media company. You have different roles which serve different parts of the chain. So you have entry-level researchers, who it's their job to find out as much as they can about that story, about that programme. Then it's the entry-level producers and journalists who do the first stab at the story. So you've got that tiering system. All of them are going to be affected by AI in one way or another. Yeah, the idea that you can filter out AI completely is completely wrong, because when you're doing any kind of research, if you're using Google, that's AI supported. It's
with the algorithms.
The algorithms and the search mechanisms and how it ranks what it perceives as the importance of that piece of information. Yeah. So it's when you start talking about AI in a mechanism, you've got to be very careful about how granular you get, because if you start saying no AI, that's very difficult to do. That would mean you'd have to inform your 3 journalists you're not using the internet, you're not using search engines, you're not using collaborative file transfer, because all of them are underpinned by AI systems. So that means you're going to send them down to the library to do book research. I know that sounds like a simplistic oversimplification, but it's not. It's that thing about people understanding where AI should fit in the process and using it to its best method and getting the best out of it.
The last question I asked Laurence was how he thought international news organisations can monitor the challenges of AI.
Companies are coming to the realisation that they actually need a new person. What they should have is the content and the business editor and a technical editor who, and to a certain extent, we've had this already. If you forget about AI for the moment, when we started to get user-generated content, all journalistic companies had to create sub-editor roles that were in charge of structuring UGC, working out how extended journalists would work into the process, checking the veracity of what the UGC was kicking out. So I think that role will be edited and AI will come under that remit.
So it's kind of like an AI consultant?
I think it's more like a technical AI editor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's somebody keeping on top of how the company, the journalists and the infrastructure is using AI, so that AI doesn't get ahead of itself and becomes the sole content creator. The idea is we should always have the human in the chain, and the human in the chain should be the important part of the chain. So it's about making sure that we get that.